day, internet people. Hello. Hello. It's Mr. Phil here with my Bermuda profile of deck profiles.
Of awesomeness of boobage.
Of triangles. Yes. This is Pythagoras' favourite deck because it's full of triangles.
Hey! You made a mess funny.
Yes, yes. Always with the triangles. Yeah, so I'm going to go through my little deck profile, and you can tell me what you think. You'll probably have some harsh words to say, I'm sure. Right, so here's the first
Our subscribers aren't like that.
I know.
Yet.
Our subscribers are lovely.
Yes.
All around 1,000 of them. So, yes.
At the time of filming.
At the time of filming. So, my starter is Duo Lover's Singer and Darling.
Don't slouch, darling.
Don't slouch, darling. She's got this handy skill. Put this card into your soul activated ability. If you have a Bermuda Triangle Vanguard, which obviously you probably do, choose one of your units with Duo in its card name. Return all units with the same name as that Vanguard to your hand. A card which combos with a number of the cards in this deck, mainly grade 1s. It's a very, very useful starter, and if your opponent's got the ability to, they would be very wise to retire this thing as soon as they can. Trigger lineup. 4 heal triggers. Didn't see that coming.
Standard. 4
draw triggers.
Standard.
Now, this is a plain old draw trigger, but it's got the Duo name, which is why I run this one. If my deck didn't require Duo stuff, like for counterblasts, then I would probably run the one that came in the last Bermuda set that had the ability to put it into the soul to give something plus 3k, just, you know, because I'd always rather have one with an ability normally. But this, if it ends up in the damage zone, you want to be able to unflip it, or flip it, one way or the other. And because it seems to be the way that people like to play, I run the 8 critical triggers. Because everyone loves being critted in the face, don't they? Yeah. Critting eggs.
Get double critted on 3.
I know, right? Right, that's the trigger lineup. So far, so standard. I'm going to get straight to a boss card. It's a grade 1. This is an amazing card. Duo Petit Etoile Peace. Grade 1. She's only a 6k, so obviously she sucks, right?
Make war, not peace.
Yeah, she doesn't suck at all. She's got this amazing ability that when she's bounced back, you counterblast 1 and draw a card. And you think, wow, that's pretty useful. You know, drawing a card just for a counterblast of 1 when she's bounced, you bounce stuff back a lot. That's great, right? Wrong. It's even better. If you've got 3 in your hand at the time, say you bounced all 3 back at once, you can activate their secondary part of the effect, which is to unflip the damage that you just flipped over to draw the card. So in the event that you bounce these 3 back, the way you do it is you counterblast for her, draw a card, then unflip, counterblast for her, draw a card, then unflip, and counterblast for her, and draw a card and unflip. Because the second part of the skill basically is just that if you reveal 3 cards with the same name, choose a card from your damage zone and turn it face up. Which, you know, that's kind of broken. Actually,
at least you admit it.
Yeah, I mean, you basically, if you're lucky enough to not get 2 of these turn up in the damage zone or have to ride one, as you'll see in the game that will be up probably just before this, where I was quite unlucky where 1 hit was here and 1 was in the damage. When that doesn't happen, and you can get these out, you can superior call these, perhaps, using the nice skills of the duos. You know, that basically means you will have hand advantage for the game. You will have a nice, healthy hand. Next up, I run 4 of this, Duo Shiny Tone Kikola. She's a 7k. She's got the same kind of skill as Peace. When she's bounced back, counterblast 1, give another unit on the field, plus 4,000 power, which is pretty nice in itself. It's a good booster. And, if there's 3 in hand, reveal them and unflip the damage again. So, again, you're basically getting extra power for free. With 4 of these and 4 pieces in the deck, you can probably either do the power route or the drawing route. And your opponent won't particularly like you, whichever of those options you take. This one has the slight advantage on the field, because obviously being a 7k, it actually lets you hit some numbers, whereas a 6k booster is kind of painful if you're stuck on her. Okie dokie, yes. And we run, obviously, perfect guards times 4. One of these isn't the black one of these is the white one, because I haven't got the full playset of the black ones, unfortunately. But you know, it throws your opponent off when you throw that one in. It's pretty cool, until they accuse you of running 8.
You haven't actually ever done that?
Nope.
Not yet.
And finally, for the grade 1 lineup, I run 2 of this Duo Clear Parasol Kura. She's your damage unflipper, your Lemonade clone. When she's placed, Soul Blast 2 and unflip 2 damage back up. Because this deck can be quite counterblast heavy, especially if you're doing the V-standing skill, she lets you get that off 1 extra time. The advantage being that once she's done her bidding, or your bidding, you can bounce her back to the hand and just throw her down a shield. So you don't have to boost with a 5k. Except in the last game where I had her stuck on the front row because I needed something to attack with. That was pretty bad. Right, grade 2s. I run 3 Prism Duo Slaney. She's a 9k grade 2. She's got the ability that when she's placed, counterblast 1 to call a unit on your field back to your hand. Doesn't duplicate anything, which is quite a vanilla bounce back for this deck. But if you just want to get a draw or a +4 easy, she's kind of useful. But generally, the counterblast, you'll save it for something a bit more important. However, if you've thrown down something and you need some shield, can't go wrong with throwing this down to bounce something back for that purpose. You know, she's got a purpose. But the real boss grade 2 is Duo Mini Heart Rone, or Rone, however you want to pronounce that. She's pretty awesome. Again, she's a 9k grade 2, and when she hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, bounce back a unit from your field, and search your deck for a clone of that unit and put it into your hand. So this is the card early on you'll be using to get your duplicates of Peace and Kikola into the hand. If you ride higher on the Vanguard and you've got a decent booster behind, then generally your opponent's either not going to bother guarding it, so you're guaranteed a clone, or if they do guard it, they're losing cards from their hand early. To be honest, that's probably the better strategy. Block this card from working, because if it does happen early, then you can kind of find yourself in a sticky situation if you're facing it off against this deck. You can quickly find yourself outnumbered when it comes to hand. Yeah. And the end of the grade 2 lineup, it's kind of an obvious choice. It's 4 pieces of the 12k attacker, 9k +3 when you have a duo Vanguard. So you can't go wrong with those. Nice steady hitters, and you can throw them down without a booster and they're still hitting the majority of units without much trouble, unless you're facing a cross ride, in which case you just cry. So that's that. Grade 3s! Already 8 minutes in. I run 2 break rides. Only 2 because you'll see. Which is a pretty good break ride though. When a unit rides this, you can counterblast 1 when you attack, and you bounce back all of your rear guards and then superior call any 2 rear guards to the field. So obviously if you've got a full field, you'll attack with all your rear guards first, then you'll attack with your Vanguard, counterblast 1, bounce them all back, resolve any bounce back abilities such as drawing cards or +4s, then superior call your other 2 units, and that's pretty nice. It gets you an extra column of attacking. And then, kind of related, I run 2 pieces of Hatsune Miku. Except she's
That's not God, no!
No, it's Duo Temptation Rate. She's the restanding kind of Minerva Light, in a sense. She's got 2 nice little skills. The first skill is Counterblast 2. At the end of the battle, this unit attacks a Vanguard. You may choose 2 cards with Duo in its card name from your hand and discard them. If all the cards discarded are of the same name, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit, and this unit gains +3k until the end of turn, cannot be used for the rest of that turn. So you get 1 restand a turn, the only proviso being you need 2 cards with the same name in hand, which is where your duplicators come in. particularly Rone, because you want those duplicates in hand for that skill. If you haven't got a duplicate in hand, but something's on the field, and you've got one in hand, you can use her secondary ability, which is to Soul Blast 1 when she attacks, to bounce one of your rear guards back and return it to your hand. So you can kind of force a restand by bouncing back something useful that way. Now, you team that up with the Break Ride, you have the advantage in that you can Break Ride, attack like that. You attack with your rear guards, attack with this. You counterblast you 1 to call back, and you get yourself an extra column there, and an extra column. Say you did that, like that, and then you attack. She restands, so you've got now a full field again. You could, assuming the vanguards, your opponent's not raised their power too much, attack with that, and attack with that. She can attack again. If you've got the counterblast, you can do the Break Ride ability again. Counterblast, bounce those back. Superior call 2, whether you do that or whether you call 1 with a booster. So you can actually get quite a lot of attacks out of Miku and a Break Ride. Problem being, these cards are blooming expensive. They are kind of the cards that make this into a meta deck and not a decent tier deck, basically. Now you might think I should probably run 4 of each of these cards, and you'd probably be right, but I don't really fancy throwing 60 quid onto those. So I actually run a bit of a kind of a budget build here with 4 Ioris, her full name being Duo Stage Storm Iori. She's a Persona Blaster. You basically Persona Blast a copy of her, and you Soul Blast 1 to bounce back any one unit on your field, search your deck for 2 copies of that unit and put them in your hand. Now that is a crazy skill when it works, and if you get it off, then you're guaranteeing yourself the piece, draw 3 and get a unflip, so you're drawing 3 for nothing, or you're gaining loads of power. If you're really feeling a bit dirty, you're sitting on her, you play a perfect guard to the field, Persona Blast, call back the perfect guard, search your deck for 2 more perfect guards. There you go, you've now got a handful. You've got basically like a play set of perfect guards in hand, ready to go. Your opponent won't like you if you do that. You will get the stare.
Of death!
But then, if you use Iori's Counterblast on pretty much anything, you will get the stare. Because your hand now has 3... You'll have 3 more cards in your hand. Chances are they'll be the ones that you need for that specific situation. Yeah, so even if your opponent's hitting numbers, if you're against one of those vanguards and says your opponent you cannot guard with grade 1s or above, you're like, fine, Persona Blast, I'm going to get some crits out. It's not great for going on the offensive, but you can fill your hand with those grade 0 shields that you need to kind of defend against those ridiculously broken attacks there. I haven't had to do that yet because there's not a lot of these units around, but there will be. So it's nice to have that strategy. So there you go, that's my Bermuda profile of triangles. I keep saying that wrong, don't I?
Yep.
That's my amazing deck. So there you go. It's done me fairly well. I think I generally finished top 3 with this. I've won a couple of tournaments. I've technically won a couple of tournaments, but not quite.
That has just been fixed.
Yes, it has been fixed. Kind of.
It's been fixed.
Case closed.
Drop it.
But the fact remains, it's a pretty consistent deck, and unless you have a really shut up. Unless you have a really unlucky game, like does occasionally happen, sometimes the cards do not, stack in your favour, and I hiccuped in the middle of that sentence, but sometimes you just get unlucky. And on those days, you throw your cards at your opponent, or you be a good sport. One or the other.
You're the second option.
Yeah. And they're celebrating silently about a goal over there, because they're playing FIFA. Anyway, this is now approaching 15 minutes. It's one of the longest deck profiles in the world. So, thanks for watching. Sorry for being so slow with this deck profile. I'm a slow person. Goodbye, Internet people.
Goodbye, Internet people.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.